All right, welcome back to Pine Tree State Restorations. And on this gunsmithing series right here, we're going to do the Raven MP-25. Okay, little history about the Raven. George Jennings started the company, made the original MP-25 in 1970. In 91, they had a fire, and he sold the rights to Phoenix Firearms, which was George Jennings' ex-wife, and then they renamed it the Raven MP-25, and they made 4 different variations. Basically, all the variations were different safeties, from good to better. This is the 4th generation. Has the cutout notch in the slide. The safety right here lifts up like that. That's pretty much the best one. The other ones are slide safeties, and they always got bumped. They just weren't very good. Phoenix Arms went out of business last year, so they're no longer. They made a Phoenix HP-22 and an HP-25, but you can still get parts for the Raven from their website. Now, if you go back and look at my other video with the Jennings, which is basically made by the same company, it's a little different in the fact that on the MP-25, you see how the barrel shroud is? See how that piece is around the barrel like that? Well, on the Jennings, the spring goes over the barrel. On the MP-25, the spring goes between the barrel and the frame right here. Basically, if you go back and watch my first video on the Jennings, everything applies to this gun same as the Jennings, except for here. Now, there's a flat spot under that barrel, and there's a flat on the slide. Completely different than the Jennings. You want no burrs in that flat spot, and you also want underneath the gun here, you want that nice and flat. Just lightly stone that with a real fine stone. Same way inside there on that flat. Because when this fires, this goes back and forth and pulls up on that. You don't want anything dragging right here or in here on the slide. So besides, like in the first video, when you got everything inside the slide deburred and polished, your firing pin polished, your spring, your retainer. Here's another slide. It's a black slide. I got this gun for $0. I had to fix a bad Remington 742 30-06. In exchange, he gave me this gun. Had this slide on it. It's got some blemishes on it, so I bought another one. I bought a chrome one on eBay for $10. Put that on there. Of course, I went through the whole gun, stoned everything down. Now, another thing about the MP-25, the trigger pull on this gun is a little lighter than on the Jennings. If you look, works the same way, but for some reason, they put a lighter spring in this one. You can take the spring out of this one and put it in the Jennings and lighten it up. I think you can pretty much swap it over and do the same thing. This has about a 7-pound trigger pull, where the Jennings about an 11 or 12. And it works the same way. So you're going to want to do the magazine first. Watch my first video on the slide and everything you got to do here. But on these Ravens, you got this extra deburring in here. You want to make sure there's nothing going on in there. And you also notice, see how the barrel's got that big shroud on it? You want to make sure there's no burrs on that too. And that's it. you should have a good running Raven 25 auto. If you don't, it's just like the first video, magazine feed lips or your extractor, which is on the top. Okay, drive that pin out, pull that out, and you want to make sure that extractor's like a claw, not like this, but like this. And that's it. That's the Raven MP-25. One of my favorite guns. If you do everything to this gun, like I said, this is the 4th generation. You kind of want to get the 4th generation if you can, because that's the last one. They pretty much got all the bugs out of them. The safeties on the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st generation are pretty bogus. So if you're going to carry this gun, a 4th generation one is one to have. And the best thing to do is to get it in the pocket sleeve and then put the whole gun in your pocket and then carry it around that way. That's the best way to carry them. But thanks for watching Pine Tree State Restorations on the Guns for League series here. We got more guns coming up, of course, and we have all kinds of stuff coming up. We have some antique cars. We do have an antique car coming up pretty soon. That's really going to be cool. 1936 Page Supercharged. My friend says he's going to buy it. I hope he does, because I want to work on it. I want to get it running, and I want to do it on YouTube, and I also want to play with that supercharger a little bit. I've read all about it. It's going to be a fun one. But thanks for watching Pine Tree State Restorations, and of course, we will see you soon.